He wanted to wait for the man. I think Henry was just a little bit nervous. And who wouldn't be, with all that big cloud-covered mountain below us and clouds rolling like smoke around us? But Henry was wise. I can see that now. He knew Katahdin. I was nervous too, and maybe that is why I decided to go right back and join Dad and the boys. Maybe I was sorry that I had gone on ahead of them. Maybe that had been a foolish thing to do. Such thoughts run through a fellow's head at a time like that. Anyway, they ran through mine and made me more and more anxious to get back to the folks below. I had on a sweatshirt under my fleece-lined jacket. When I made up my mind to start back, I peeled off the jacket and gave the sweatshirt to Henry. "That'll keep you warm while you're waiting," I said. "But I'm going back, right now. I'll tell Dad you and the man are coming down soon." Henry said I was foolish and tried to stop me, but I knew I was all right. I guess I thought I knew more than he did, for I only shrugged my shoulders and laughed at him. Just then, an extra heavy cloud rolled in around us. I thought of people being lost in clouds and getting off the trail, and maybe that hurried me a little as I pulled up my fleece-lined reefer about my neck and started down. Boy, I can see now what a mistake that was. A fellow is just plain dumb who laughs at people who know more than he does. The clouds were like gray smoke and shut Henry from me before I had gone a dozen yards. The going was very rough, and the trail wound in and around huge rocks. It hadn't seemed so awfully rough on the way up. I mean, the last 100 yards. But then you climbed slowly. While going down, you could make better time. I hadn't gone far before I noticed that the trail led me up to rocks that I had to climb over like a squirrel. That seemed funny to me, but I went on just the same, because a fellow forgets easily, and I figured going down was different anyway. Nobody can really understand how rough the going is up there until he has tried that hunt trail in a mist. I suppose Henry would laugh at me for saying so. He's been over the trail so often. However, I wasn't worried. Not just then. I kept looking ahead, expecting to see Dad and the boys break through the cloud at any moment. Everything looks different in the clouds. You think you see a man, and he turns out to be only a rock. It kind of scares a fellow, especially when you are alone and awfully cold. When I had gone quite a distance over the rocks, far enough, I thought, to be down on the plateau, I stopped and looked around. I couldn't see anything that looked like a trail. I couldn't find a single spot of white paint.
In hiking language, a trail does not necessarily mean a path. The hunt trail, for instance, is marked by daubs of white paint on trees and rocks. Where the markings take the form of arrows, their tips point in the direction of the summit of Mount Katahdin, Baxter Peak.
I thought I must be down on the plateau, but could not be sure. There are plenty of huge rocks on the plateau, but the trail winds in and out around them. The going is fairly level, and the rocks don't bother as long as you are on the trail. But I was in the middle of the worst mess of rocks you can imagine. I began to worry a little. Boy, it's no fun getting off the trail when the cloud is so thick you can't see a dozen yards ahead. One thing helped me not to worry too much. I knew that if Dad and the boys were still on the way up, they must be nearing the place where I stood. At least, they must be within hearing distance. I shouted several times. Not a sound answered me. My voice seemed hollow. I had a feeling it didn't go far through that heavy cloud. I waited, and then I shouted again, and again. At last, I just stood and listened for a long time. No answering shout, nothing but the noise of the wind among the rocks. Boy, I felt funny when I started on. I couldn't see far on any side of me, and I had a feeling I was right on the edge of a great cliff.
This is probably the point at which the bloodhounds lost Donn's trail, the second day of the search for him.